Did you know that over 70% of Christians struggle with sexual purity at some point in their lives? And yet the question remains, is seeing, touching, or showing private parts a sin? The answer isn't as simple as yes or no. What if I told you that understanding this topic could change the way you see yourself and your relationship with God forever? Stay with me, because most people misunderstand what the Bible actually says. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll learn something no one else is talking about. The Bible speaks extensively about sexual purity. Matthew 5:28 records Jesus saying, "Anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." But what about merely seeing or touching without lust? Here's where things get interesting. In Genesis 2:25, Adam and Eve were naked and unashamed. It wasn't until after sin entered the world that shame and guilt became attached to nudity. The problem isn't the human body, it's how sin corrupts our perception of it. So does this mean seeing private parts is always sinful? Not exactly. Let's dive into some science behind human sexuality. Studies show that exposure to explicit content rewires the brain, creating a cycle of addiction and desensitization. A 2019 study from the Journal of Behavioral Addictions found that repeated sexual imagery consumption lowers impulse control and weakens spiritual discipline. No wonder the Bible warns in 1 Corinthians 6:18, "Flee from sexual immorality." But here's what no one tells you. Your mind is shaped by what you feed it. What you look at, what you allow into your thoughts, impacts your actions and spiritual health. Let me share a quick story. A man named David, a devout Christian, struggled with pornography addiction for years. He started by justifying it. It's just looking, not touching. But it consumed him. He noticed his prayers felt hollow and his spiritual connection weakened. One night, he read 1 Corinthians 10:13, which says, "God will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear." That night, he prayed earnestly for strength, and for the first time, he felt a breakthrough. His story reminds us, it starts small, but where does it lead? Now, what if touching is involved? The Bible doesn't explicitly say touching yourself is a sin, but it does warn against lust. If an action leads to sin, addiction, or takes you away from God, it's dangerous. Romans 6:12 tells us, "Do not let sin reign in your mortal body so that you obey its evil desires." This is about self-control, not because God is restricting us, but because He knows what's best for us. The world today tells us it's normal, everyone does it. Hollywood, social media, even medical professionals sometimes normalize exposing, touching, or consuming explicit content. But just because something is common doesn't mean it's right. We're called to be set apart. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." So, how do we fight this? 1. Guard your eyes and mind. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Be mindful of what you watch. 2. Accountability is key. Join a men's-women's group. Use accountability apps like Covenant Eyes or BlockP, a Christian porn blocker. 3. Prayer and fasting. Jesus fasted to overcome temptation, Matthew 4:2. Try fasting when battling sexual temptations. 4. Redirect your focus. Replace temptation with purpose, reading scripture, pursuing a hobby, exercising. So is seeing, touching, or showing private parts a sin? The answer depends on intent, heart posture, and where it leads you spiritually. If it distances you from God, it's time to step back. If you found this valuable, share it with a friend who needs this message. Let's help each other walk in purity and strength. And before you go, comment below. What's one verse that helps you stay strong in moments of temptation? Let's discuss.